Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Indy's Trusted Servant Show on InspireSmall.biz. Who's Indy's Trusted Servant? Well, that's me, Danny O'Malia. I do customer service training and keynote speaking about customer service. It's all about the culture of the organization. I learned all of that from the hand of the master, my late father, Joe O'Malia, back in the O'Malia Food Market days. And even before that, when I was about 9 or 10, Dad had a little grocery store in Broad Ripple that he actually lost. And he came back 10 years later and opened O'Malia's successfully. And one of the lessons I learned was never, ever, ever give up. What's the Indy's Trusted Servant? Oh, if you're interested in learning more about my keynote speaking on customer service or my training of customer service, give me a call at 317-413-9062. What's the Indy's Trusted Servant Show on InspireSmall.biz? I like to describe it as lively local small biz and community talk where you can feel the pulse of Indy. And today, I'm really happy to welcome an O'Malia Food Market alumnus from his high school days and a major force in the networking around the north side, mostly of Indianapolis, among other things, my good friend Brian Bodenhamer of Team Bodie. Brian, welcome aboard.
Well, thank you so much, Danny. I'm a proud alumnus.
I know you are.
And I don't think only that's what we have in common, but I will say that my father was a very big influence on myself, just like your father was. I had an honor
That's
to
a
meet
good
him
thing.
a few times. So yeah,
that's a good thing.
It's a little bit of another commonality that you and I have.
There you go. So I always ask my guest before he or she gets into the meat of the thing.
Sure.
Tell us about Brian Bodenhamer and where you grew up, where you went to school, what you studied. If you want to talk about your family a little bit, that's great. And then how you got to where you are now.
Well, that's a half hour right there.
You got to speed it up, Brian.
So Brian Bodenhamer. Danny's one of the few people who can say my name correctly. So I love getting together with Danny when he edifies me. I'm from Indianapolis. I went to North Central High School, graduated in 1987. It's hard to say.
That is.
But I made the top 80% of my class possible.
There you go.
I like to say.
There
so
you
I wasn't
go.
the best student, but I worked from high school. I worked like 30 hours a week in high school from the sophomore year on. So it wasn't always my biggest priority. But I learned a lot from my dad. I was very fortunate. This is becoming less and less of a thing where my three biggest mentors I shared a last name with. It's my dad, my uncle, his brother, and my grandfather, their dad. And we all know there's a dearth of male leadership and mentorship it's becoming more of an issue, and I'm one of the blessed ones. So my job and my whole focus is helping young men and kids find that and be a good role model and help them out.
Have good lives, basically.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
I mean, we all know that role models make a big difference in that.
So from North Central High School in 87 and the part-time job at O'Malia's, what then?
Well, I kind of bounced around until I found out what I wanted to do when I grew up. I went later in life. I was in my 30s before I went back to college, got my teaching degree, kind of like you, another commonality. I taught history, he taught English. And
where'd you teach?
I taught at HSC for a short time. Those schools, I ended up at a charter school because my job was dime a dozen history teachers. And it's hard to find a job in that particular area. And I realized that I wanted to work with kids and I wanted to help people be the best versions of themselves. And teaching wasn't really that dream of being a teacher.
Wasn't getting you there, right?
What's that?
It wasn't getting you where you wanted to be.
No. And my wife, who we're going on 19 years of being married to each other.
Congrats.
Thank you. She's my world, and I can't help her retire on the teacher salary.
Right.
So I still get to help people and teach them skills. But at the same time, I learn, and I'm not limited by what I can talk about.
So since the teaching, what have you done?
Well, since the teaching, we're in network marketing. I love the industry. It's not done right by a lot of people, but really went to a bunch of different networking groups. And
that's how we met. We were reconnected by networking, right?
And I think there's a problem in that. It's always transactional. You go into a place, you go to one certain one, they give you a blue dot, and it's like sharp to chum, and it's kind of insulting in a way. It's like, here's what you can do for me. And they don't even try to get to know you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I would rather get to know the person, build these relationships that are sustainable, and build friendships if we can. I don't have to be a friend with you, but the more I know about you, the more I get to know you, the better I can help you, and vice versa.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. So this leads us to the Team Bodie thing. Tell us about that a little bit, and the networking thing that you do.
Sure. The Team Bodie is, have an email, teambodie1@gmail. That's my personal email. But Team Bodie is just kind of honoring my uncle. Okay. Team Bodie, I like building teams. It's not about me. It's not about one individual. It's about uniting people and building relationships.
I will give you one of my favorite quotes, and it's on my PowerPoint presentation. The great John Wooden, the great basketball coach,
my favorite,
said, I'm not looking for great players. I'm looking for players that make the team great.
Yeah. Well, he's
That's
one of my
it.
heroes too.
That's it.
I got the Pyramid of Success on my office.
Oh, okay.
And right
okay.
next to that is a letter Danny sent me like 10 years ago saying thank you.
Brian has one.
I have.
Brian has one on his wall.
It's one of my prized possessions.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, but it's right there. I actually took my graduation, my diploma down and put that up.
No kidding. No kidding. You shouldn't take your diploma down.
Well, I mean, I think building relationships and what you and I share in our philosophies, that's more important.
So it's all about building relationships.
Absolutely.
Talk about your networking thing, and then we'll get into the driver's ed thing next. Okay.
I mean, but again, Team Bodie is in honor of my uncle. He's the original Bodie. Somehow all the men in my family get called Bodie at one time or another. So Team Bodie. So that's how we do that. So I run a group called GNLC 2.0. It used to be Geist Networking Lunch Club, but we've kind of built on that. So now it's genuine networking with leadership and connection.
Okay.
So that's where the 2.0 comes in. And we're not just focusing on one group, we're going to build. And we have people in San Diego and Gulf Shores and other places that are interested in knowing more about it. And they're going to end up being franchises.
Okay.
So what we do is we build everything on know, like, and trust. I don't think you can really build relationships without that. But then with our group, we also say, let's be top of mind to each other in the best of ways. And then also be best of breed. And when I say best of breed, I'm not talking about the number one person in their industry, but people that we know that are going to take care of our clients in a genuine way. And that's not going to make us, excuse the term, make us look like clowns and we lose that relationship because they didn't take care of them.
You want to talk about when the group, you want to invite people to visit the group?
Yeah.
Tell us when it meets and so forth.
We meet at AJ's Bar and Grill in Geist. It's right off of 79th or 82nd in Fall Creek, where that Kroger Plaza is. So we meet down there. We meet on most Fridays from 12 to 1. We have about 12, 13 members. We're building on that. We want to get to about 20, 25 and then cap it because we know people are going to show up about 75% of the time. And that's right. So 40 meetings roughly a year. And then 2 of those meetings, just so we can meet new people and maybe get some other people to join, because we know some people are come and go. So we're always looking for fresh blood. So twice a year, we just finished one the weekend before Carb Day. We call that the greatest spectacle in networking. So we provide a free buffet. We're always looking for sponsors for that. And you get to mix and mingle, and we'll do games, and we'll also raise money for a nonprofit.
So you said you got 12 people in the group, but how many people showed up at that big event?
We had about 40 people last time.
Okay. And did you get any members out of that?
Yeah, we're getting 2 members out of it.
That's worth it.
And then the other one we do, the second one we do is the Friday before Thanksgiving. We call that Let's Talk Turkey.
Okay.
So, and
well, if somebody's interested in attending Let's Talk Turkey, how do they go about that?
We'll put the tickets online somewhere in October, and we like to do about a month out. And then they go on Eventbrite. It's a free ticket. Punch in your information.
Is there a website or an email they can ask about?
Go to geistnetworking.com.
There you go.
And you'll see a little bit about all the members that are paid up. Our fees are pretty reasonable compared to some others, and we could talk about that some other time. But we try to give value.
So are people invited to drop by to a regular meeting or not until Thanksgiving time?
You can come and visit.
You can come and visit.
For people to join, you have to visit twice in a row because we want to see some sort of commitment that you're really interested. And it's not for everybody. It has to be a win-win for the group and that person.
Okay,
And
so
we,
it is legitimate just to show up at what time on a Friday?
well, we say 12 noon
Okay,
and
noonish
then
at this.
to about 1.
What's the name of the place?
It's called AJ's Bar and Grill.
And
It's actually pretty popular. I think it used to be called The Grill, and then they changed it to AJ's, and there's an Italian restaurant they own right next door.
So it's at the 79th and Fall Creek.
Yeah,
where the Kroger. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Great. So if you're interested in that, just pop in.
Oh, yeah.
Tell them you saw Brian on the Indy's Trusted Servant show,
Text
and you'll
me,
be
call
welcome
me.
with open arms, right?
Yeah, I mean, Danny's been there a few times, Ryan's been there a few times, and Ryan, our producer here, and smiling, great smile and all that. He's there. He's been there a few times. So if you have information you can't get a hold of me, these two can give you some great information.
And
as well.
we're fairly easy to find. So let's move into the next issue, is this whole driver's ed thing. So you talked about teaching history before. Now you're teaching driver's ed. Talk about that, and it's not just a regular driver's ed teacher thing.
No. I think state of Indiana recently, I've taught driver's ed for a while. I've probably driven thousands of kids, but after one incident, I had a girl go through a cornfield. Made a mistake of telling my wife about that. I've been pretty good with the kids, but this girl wasn't quite ready. Driving the country, she goes through a cornfield. Next day, that same place, there was a combine there, so God's watching out for me. Make sure it happened the day before.
Wow.
Yeah, and my wife heard about that. She goes, no more driving. I said, what about teaching? She goes, yeah, you can do that all you want. So off and on for the last few years, I've been teaching driver's ed in a classroom, getting ready to do one at Lawrence North coming up in 2 weeks. But state of Indiana now requires 50 practice hours before you can get your license while you have your permit. And if you can't prove that, they're not going to let you get your license.
How do you prove that?
You have to document it. I don't know how you can prove it, but it's supposed to be documented. 10 hours has to be at night. But even if you take driver's ed, there's only 6 hours that you get with a professional driving instructor. So there's a need to teach the parents how to do the drives. So I focus on those 6 drives and teach them how to teach their kid.
So you teach parents
Now, the book.
how to teach the other 44. Okay, now that gets us to the book. Tell us about the book.
So the book is called The Xena Driver's Ed, How to Teach Your Teen to Drive Without Killing One Another.
Okay.
So it's a little cheesy, but gets people's attention. So it addresses those needs. There's 6 drives that every teacher is going to teach. Get them started, see where they're at. That's more for the teacher, and get the kid comfortable. Then you put them out on a rural road and change lanes and that sort of thing. That's the second drive. Third drive is basically driving in the city, learning how to park in parking lots and stuff like that.
Parallel parking.
Parallel parking is the fourth one.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's actually has its own lesson. That's the fourth drive.
It would need
and there's
that.
a lot of aha moments in that.
Oh, yeah.
They do that, something clicks with them, and they go, okay, I got this.
Yeah.
And as long as they do it. And I could teach any kid how to do it in 5 minutes. It's not as hard. For one thing, first thing I do is say, park behind that car. And they park, I say, you just parallel park. That throws them off. But yeah, that's actually literally parallel parking. A lot of this on your road, right?
There's a lot of adults that still don't know how to parallel
park. Yeah, they're scared of it. My wife doesn't like doing it.
Right.
So
my wife doesn't like it either.
She normally does she normally has me do the parking.
Yeah.
Even if she's driving. Get out, you're gonna park the car. So then the 5th lesson is getting on a highway. Interstates are crazy right now.
Yes, they are.
So we do that if they're comfortable and we're comfortable with them. Then the last drive is this, showing them what they would face on their actual driving test. So we actually take them through a practice, see how they do. We grade it just like they would at the BMV, and say, here's how you're going to do. Now go.
That's very good.
Yeah.
So that's in the book.
That's all in the book. And then there's some life lessons too.
I have to share a quick story about a girl I knew in high school who had a wreck in the parking lot of her driver's test.
Yeah.
So it was an F.
Absolutely. Yeah, do not pass go, do not collect $200.
That was bad.
Right.
So this book is available?
It's going to be available pretty soon. We're going through the editing right now and then working with a publisher. If you guys know publishers and want to get some credit, by all means, send me that information. But I think we know who the publisher is going to be.
Okay.
I'm not a real fan of self-publishing, so I want to have something professional and tight. And we're going to talk to schools, and this is who we're looking for. Schools, we're looking for driver's ed schools. But the school is private and public, so Cathedral would be a really good resource. We're talking about parents, we're talking about youth organizations, but anybody who works with teenagers And anybody who's a parent, and they're going, what the heck am I going to do? And even in the book, and this is one of the nice things about the book, is I do a parent-teen contract where the parents agree to some parameters, the kids agree to some parameters. Parents not allowed to yell at your kids, and the kids, you have to be patient with your parents and be teachable.
That's all very, very admirable.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
It's an interesting thing. Something that occurs to me here: the state takes care of 6 hours of driver's ed, right?
Well, if you take driver's ed.
If you take driver's ed,
Yeah,
which you pretty much have to, don't you?
Not really.
No, not really.
For the state of Indiana, once you turn 16, you get your permit. If you want to get your license at the earliest possible age, 16 in 3 months. Or
Yeah,
16
you just
days,
go take the test.
you have to take driver's ed,
Right.
and then you can get it early. If you don't take driver's ed, you can get a 16 and 270 days, which is ironically is 180 days that you have to hold your permit for.
Oh, so the only problem from the standpoint of the teenage driver with not taking driver's ed is they have to wait 6 months.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's it.
So now, which leads me to the next question. How do we prove that the kid has had the 44 hours with his parents?
I'm still figuring that out.
You
myself.
can't do it. Right?
Hopefully there's some integrity. And
Some integrity, maybe.
There's some integrity. But, same time, I teach the kids, and one of the lessons I teach them is, think about, if you're going to do something, go out and do something stupid. Like we all did that when we were kids, driving. We're invincible, right? We're indestructible.
Right.
We found out in Fishers High School, one of the kids who was up in Chicago, driving too early, driving with too many of his friends, no parents around. 5 kids involved in a serious wreck, and one of the kids died.
Right.
With the Fishers High School. So I tell every teenager, think about when you're getting ready to go out and you're going to speed, you're going to be reckless and all that. Think about your parents, and if it's going to make them cry, please don't do it. So that's one of the biggest lessons I teach.
So you're teaching at HSE now, or is it Lawrence North?
I work for a school that goes to the schools. I work for a private school that goes into the schools and teaches it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
But it's good, and there's a lot of information there. Just reach out to me, and I'll give you details. And the book's going to come out. So if you know schools and driving schools and youth organizations,
where's the book going to be available? Online or
it'll be online? But I want an actual book. I want an actual book. Because I think that's going to be more effective. Because I don't want the parents teaching them reading off of a mobile phone. I want them to actually have a book, and they can go over that. There'll be a checklist and be real simple. Have their clipboard and treat them just like they are with.
In the best of all possible worlds, and maybe we're jumping ahead. How would you access the book?
Right now, there's no way to access it.
That's what I was afraid of.
Get a hold of me. I'll make sure you get something.
You want to give your contact information?
Sure. You can reach me at 317-670-1074. Text me. That'd probably be the better way to do it. Or you can reach out to me on my personal email, team, T-E-A-M, like go team, Bodie, B-O-D-I-E, the number 1 at Gmail.
Okay. So I'm trying to think when the book comes out, how you could let us know.
Oh, I will. Well, there's going to be a webpage. I think it's going to be called teambodie.com. I think that's what we're working with right now.
Okay.
And the other avenues too.
So back to the actual teaching for a minute.
Sure.
You work for a company that sends you into Lawrence North or whatever school, right?
Yeah.
How many people do they have out there teaching driver's ed?
You mean like me or school? There's only like half a dozen people with that school that teaches the classroom.
Okay.
Because most of the teachers don't want to do that part. I love that part. I get to make connections with kids and with the ramble back and forth. And, and actually, when you're in a classroom, you can't replace that online or do it on Zoom.
Oh, no, you can't.
Yeah.
I
do stupid board races and get them involved. I get them out of their chairs and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That's part of it.
That obviously the kids have suffered greatly from all the not being in school stuff. And this would just be a small part of that, but it's an important part of it, right?
Oh, it's a huge part of it.
So we got maybe 10 minutes left. Sure. What else is going on at Team Bodie?
Well, if some of you may know a gentleman by the name of Harrison Painter. He and I have reconnected. We've worked together with Amplify Indy. Amplify Indy has been retired for the most part.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So we're starting something called Amplify EQ. And what we're doing is we're doing behavioral assessments, emotional assessments to help determine what your behaviors are on like 15, 16 different levels. And we find out where your strengths are and where your strengths where you need to kind of work on. So the strengths, obviously, what makes your business thrive, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all have our strengths, but we also have some of our blind spots that we need to work on.
Weaknesses.
So we will identify those as well. And we can do that for an individual. And we can do a simple one that starts at $99. And then we can go more in depth, which is about $499.
Is this something you and Harrison have put together yourselves?
No. We work with a guy named Dr. Snively. And he's the one who put this. If you've ever heard of Lion's Lead, he started that. So we're helping to design it for businesses. And it's faith-based, but it's not overtly faith-based.
If I remember Harrison, I know I've met Harrison. Is he still in the Broad Ripple area?
No, we actually work out of Cohatch up in Noblesville, up in Hamilton Town Center.
Okay.
We work a lot. I like going to Guy's Coffee. That's where I do a lot of my work.
Okay.
Nice coffee shop, family owned. Not so industrial, better coffee.
So this thing with Harrison is in the planning stages now.
Well, we're launching it on next Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we also do something for large groups and businesses. So whether it's your core team or it's all of your employees.
So how do I access this?
Go to Amplify AMP.
LIFY.
AMPP. ILFY. Yeah.
I was an English teacher, right?
Capital EQ.com.
Amplify.
Yeah. And my role there is I'm the community engagement liaison.
So go through that one again. Amplify EQ.
The letters EQ.com.
All small case?
It's not case sensitive.
Okay.
EQ, when you see EQ, it's going to be capital E, capital Q.
Okay. Amplify capital E, capital Q.com.
Yeah, and that's we actually have our landing page live right now, so you can learn a little bit about that there.
Very good. Well, tell Harrison I said hi. It's been years since I've run into him.
He's probably watching this, so he's probably, hey, Danny.
Hopefully he is.
Yeah.
So we got maybe 5 minutes. What else is going on?
Well, let's complete this. I want everybody to have a good idea about Amplify EQ.
Oh,
so
keep going.
I got three questions we ask everybody, and you guys want to answer that? That's fine. Would you like to have less stress?
Sure.
Okay. Would you like to be more productive?
Sure.
Okay. How about improve your relationships and better your relationships with not only your clients and the people you work with, but also your families?
Who wouldn't?
All right. So those are some three of the things that we will help you work on. And like I said, everybody has a blind spot, and you'd be surprised what your blind spots are.
That's why they're blind spots.
Exactly. So what we do is come up and connect with us, and we'll work with you. And we love doing that. And we're going to have masterminds. One of the things I'm going to include with it is one of my roles is going to be is we're going to do some book facilitations too. So I like Og Mandino's Greatest Salesman in the World. I think that's a brilliant book. Everybody should read it. It's a very simple book to read, but if you do the challenge it comes with, it takes 300 days reading it 3 times a day. The last time we read it out loud, and it's very difficult. I've started that challenge 10 times. I finished it twice. So it's a difficult thing to do, but the emotional intelligence piece will help you determine. That'll help you with your behaviors, and what you can measure, you can better, right? Isn't that what we say? So I think this Amplify EQ is going to be a game changer for a lot of people, and I'm excited. It's really got me waking up and going, let's roll, let's do this, and make everybody the best versions of themselves.
So once again, how do people access this?
Go to amplifyeq.com, and it'll say if you want a consultation, you can reach us. You can reach out to me. Give
me your phone number again.
317-670-1074. Text me is the best way. Call me, whatever. But I know you'll get a better, quicker response if you text me. And I think that's the way it's just becoming anymore.
I know my daughter, who's about your age, her voicemail says, leave me a message, or better yet, send me a text.
Yeah.
That's just the way you guys roll, right?
I came up with this rule about 10 years ago. If they're under 30 or under, text them.
Well, you know what? What's better is
That's 10 years ago.
what's better is to find out how they would prefer to communicate.
Yeah.
Some people want text, some want email, some want phone.
Right.
Everybody's still a little different, right?
yeah.
And that's part of all of this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's part of your emotional intelligence and being self-aware. And I also think that whoever is the client, they get to choose.
That's right. That's the point.
The client. I don't like saying customer. I'd rather say client, because clients you build relationships with. You go to McDonald's as a customer, they don't care. You come in, but you call them a customer. I think words matter as far as I'm concerned.
I don't want to pick on McDonald's, but since you brought them up, so
I went there and got some coffee this morning.
Well,
so.
and I go to McDonald's more than I care to admit if I'm in a hurry or whatever, and I'm pretty much a regular at the one on Carmel Drive, and the ladies they know me. But
well, that means you're a client there.
Somebody put a thing on Facebook just the other day. They went into McDonald's and it was 4 1/4. And they gave the girl at the window 5 1/4, and she didn't know what to do.
Yeah, I see that more and more.
That is, I'll never forget this. You'll appreciate this. Way back in the late 70s, my dad and I were working in our office on a Saturday, and he goes, go out to this, flea market with me. I hated flea markets, but Dad loved them. It was a beautiful October day. We went to this flea market somewhere near Noblesville, and they had a hot dog a table with a girl there, and she had a cash box. And so let's say the hot dogs were 50 cents and the Cokes were 1/4. So we said a hot dog and 2 Cokes, 2 hot dogs, 2 Cokes. He gave her a 5, and she had a pocket calculator, okay? And
so
she had to use the pocket calculator to figure out the change for that. And my dad goes, oh my God, we're in a lot of trouble down the road. And that's what you're talking a lot about, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
I will tell you, I think about the service. I think about when you're greeted in a place. I mean, we had a rule at Amalia's that someone came within 8 feet of you, you had to say hello.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Or if someone asked for where the mustard was, and you're stocking something, you got up, showed them the mustard, asked them which one it was, and you handed it to them.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And those kind of things.
That's gone.
So O'Malley's was the precursor. I mean, that was the standard for everywhere. A lot of people thought it was expensive, but they went there for the experience. And then McAllister's was that way for a long time, and they kind of gotten away from that.
They've slipped a little bit.
Yeah, well, they sold their business. They took it from a local where they had 16 stores, and they sold it to a place out of Nashville. So they went from 16 to 48 stores responsible for, and you know how growth does that.
Too quick. Yeah.
And I think now it's Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A's fantastic.
I mean, whether you like the sandwiches or not, I don't go to Chick-fil-A. I like the sandwiches. I love their iced tea, but I go there for the experience. My pleasure instead of thank you.
Yes.
It's just those little things that make all the difference in the experience.
Back to my PowerPoint presentation for my business, and we're going to run out of time pretty quick,
Sure.
But one of them is from Chick-fil-A. I have several culture statements. I have the Joe O'Malley culture statement. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah,
I got the
that goes a
John
long
Wooden
way.
thing that we already talked about, and I got Chick-fil-A.
Success.
Our light shines brightest when it isn't on.
Yeah.
Why are they closed on
Absolutely.
Sunday? Well, they're religious, but they get better employees because of that.
Yeah.
And we've all driven into a Chick-fil-A
Who
on a
wants
Sunday.
to work on Sunday anyway?
I know.
mean, it's good for us.
Uh,
not so good for the business. O'Malley's used to be that way, and they changed that towards the end.
Yeah. Well,
No,
but
that's
you've
a good
driven
be
into
competitive.
Chick-fil-A on a Sunday and gone, doggone it, but more power to them.
Yeah, I mean,
pretty cool.
that means partly to taking care of their employees.
Absolutely.
So, Danny, I will end my part, and obviously I don't want to take over your time, but I love this word called Genshai. It's from a book called Aspire with Words, written by Kevin Hall, right? Aspire with words, and it takes all these different words and gives them a definite, tis a story about it. But the word I got out of that was called Genshai, Genshai. It's Hindi,
Okay.
and it says, never treat anybody to make them feel small. And it goes a little bit further and says, and start with yourself.
That's good.
So your self-talk.
You got to
Yeah,
respect yourself,
Yes.
right? Brian Bodenhamer, Team Bodie,
Yes, sir.
and driver's ed instructor. Thanks for being our guest. Next week, Jamie Hopper, who's a financial advisor, but he's really going to be here to talk about the Crohn's and Colitis Association. And that's one of those diseases we all need to pay attention to.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for watching this episode of the Indy's Trusted Servant Show. If you liked this episode, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more updates. The Indy's Trusted Servant Show is produced by InspireSmall.biz in Indianapolis, Indiana. For more episodes of the Indy's Trusted Servant Show, visit www.inspiresmall.biz/Indy's Trusted Servant. Thanks for watching.